excited. We have a home girl in the house, and she is one who is a product of Long Island and a product of this community where this station is emanating from. We're right here in West Babylon. Right next door to West Babylon is North Babylon, and we have a young lady who started out here on Long Island, started out right here in North Babylon, who has gone on to do extremely well in the musical industry, and we want to introduce to you Noreen Crayton. Thank you, Ms. Crayton, for being with us tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I am sure so many of you not only recognized the name of Crayton because her father is a legend here on Long Island, having pastored here for many, many years in the hamlet of Amityville, the Holy Trinity Baptist Church. She is a graduate of North Babylon High School. We won't say what year, but she graduated from North Babylon High School a long time ago. But since then, she has done some wonderful things. And before we get into some of the prepared questions that we have arranged for tonight, why don't you tell us very quickly, what did you do after high school, and where did you go, and what have you done since then?
Oh, well, after high school, I first went to Oberlin College for about a year and a half. And, yeah, that's right.
I don't believe any of the stories they tell you at Oberlin.
I met Reverend Steele, you know.
Just remember.
Came back and transferred over and went to Pace University. At the same time, the Lord had blessed me to land a part in Mama, I Want to Sing.
Right.
So I was able to be one of the young ladies that rotated in the role of Doris Winter, which was the lead role at that time.
Yes.
And that was a long, long time ago. And so I was on tour with Mama, I Want to Sing, and worked, and actually I was going to school and being on tour. I was able to kind of go back and forth, and I was able to get my degree, you know, at the same time, you know, while on tour, and then sometimes working with the New York company and things like that. And after that, I went and did some other shows, another show called Abyssinia, where we performed at the Arena Stage in Washington. And went over to Europe and performed with the group called the Golden Gospel Singers for a long time, about 5 years. Did about 3 CDs with them, and was blessed to travel all over Germany, France, Italy, Switzerland, Sweden. Just a blessing, and was able to work with other people from there, you know, in different musical groups and things like that. And
Well, listen, we recently reconnected via our social network.
Yes.
And Gospel Today online.
Charles Luter, he saw my video on my Facebook page and told me to get on that page, on your site.
That's right.
He sure did.
Facebook is good, but Gospel Today is much better.
Oh, yes, much better.
And so we reconnected, and one of the reasons that we were so excited about having you as our guest and bringing you back home, actually, is because you are a product of Long Island.
Oh, definitely. I'm a Long Island girl.
I want you to talk about your rearing here on Long Island in general, and Amityville in particular, and how that impacted what you decided to do in life.
My dad pastored out there. I was born practically in Holy Trinity Baptist Church. You know, when I was born, he was the pastor of that church, and he always had an active ministry. So my father wasn't really big on the whole Bible study at home. He felt that the best way to raise his children was through example. So he brought us to church, and we would go to Sunday school, to BTU, we got involved in the choirs, and he had a criteria back then that all children that wanted to work in the church had to be baptized. And so my father baptized me when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
And from there I just started singing in the choir, working in the usher board, getting involved in all of the different activities that my dad had at the time with the basketball teams. And so I was a cheerleader, and I was, you know, then I did some baton twirling, all at the church. And so he kept me engaged in the church and in the work of the ministry of the Lord. And I really appreciate that, because he really got me grounded, so that when I got on tour, you know, I had something to fall back on. You know?
In talking about your father, and we know that he's recently retired.
Yes, he has.
But in talking about your father, you grew up as a PK.
Yes.
And usually preachers' kids take one of two routes. They're either heavily involved in the church world and industry, or there's a bit of defiance, rebellion, protest. What impact did your coming up in the home of Dr. Spurgeon Crayton have on your development as an adolescent and then later as an adult?
It was, I think it was an extremely positive impact, because I think he really made sure that I have 2 sisters and a brother, and so he made sure that the 4 of us, as best he could, with his busy schedule and the fact that he was going to school, and he went to Union Theological Seminary and got his Master of Divinity. Yes. He was doing all that at the same time, but he made sure we had a well-rounded upbringing. And he wanted us to really, really explore and be whoever it was that we were going to be. But he included church, and he never pushed us. When we got old enough, to decide whether or not we want to be involved in church or not, he never made us go. We just we found that he had made things so that we wanted to be there. Yeah. So the 4 of us never really left at all. Right. We never had that moment of defiance where it was like, oh, but Daddy, I'm not going, you're making me go, or anything like that. No, we were there. Okay. We were there. Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
In talking about your current project, you've just done a CD. You've just dropped a CD.
Yes.
I think it is Profiles of Deliverance.
Or Diary of
Deliverance. Diary of Deliverance. Yes. And then along with a gospel video. Tell us a bit about your current project and what went into that and some of the dues that you had to pay to make that happen.
Oh my goodness. Well, it was, I didn't really plan on doing the CD, actually. It started back in 2005 when I had come back. I think it was off my last tour for about a year, and I didn't know what to do. And I was disgusted with the music business and didn't feel like being in theater anymore. Didn't want to tour anymore. And a friend of mine had actually referred me to someone else, and I started working with them, recording some of their songs for a play. And they, for some reason though, they felt like I had something in me as a songwriter, so they started working with me. And one thing just led to another, and next thing I know, I couldn't get anybody to really work with me anymore, and so I just started laying the tracks, and I started singing the tracks and working on and playing them myself, and it just started to grow, and it was like by 2008, I actually had an entire project, and it just happened.
So where does Noreen Crayton go from here? What can we look on the horizon to see in your future?
I'm working on the next CD.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm writing that, and I feel that's where God has me, to write songs. I'm not sure if He always wants me to sing them. I actually have one song on Ronnie Millsap, who has just released a country. He released a gospel album. He's normally a country artist, and I co-wrote a song called "Up to Zion," which is actually their standout track, and he just released it about last month or back in February. So. It seems like God has me as a songwriter for now, and I'm just going with the flow.
In listening to your material, it is obvious, it is rather apparent that your material is not typical gospel.
No,
it's not traditional gospel.
No, it isn't.
How would you describe it, and who are you trying to reach? Who do you anticipate your audience being?
I finally found the term too. It took me a while. Urban contemporary.
Urban contemporary.
Urban contemporary gospel. It's very R&B. It's got a lot of pop to it. And that kind of just came organically as well. When I was creating the beats and I was creating the bass lines, and I grew up steeped in traditional gospel music. So when I heard what was coming out of me, I was like, oh my goodness.
This is different.
I was like, Lord, I don't know if anybody's gonna like this, but if this is what you had me to do, I'm obedient. And I feel that it's geared though towards I think college age. I think it's geared towards young people. I want to reach people who have turned away from Christianity, who've gotten maybe a little, disappointed, and and to people who've never even thought of Jesus as an option, before. And I think that the music might do that for them.